The next category is control events. These triggers are a little different from the ones we've talked about so far. While mouse and object events respond to what the learner does, control events respond to what storyline itself does behind the scenes. Think of them as system-level events. They react when something happens inside the course engine, not necessarily on the slide. For example, a control event can trigger when a variable changes value, when a media file finishes playing, or when the course first starts or ends. In other words, these triggers don't depend on the learner selecting, dragging, or hovering. They depend on the course responding to its own built-in actions. There are 6 control event options: slider moves, dial turns, variable changes, media completes, user presses a key, and object loses focus. The first 2, slider moves and dial turns, accomplish the same thing, except one is tied to a slider's thumb and the other to a dial's pointer. Both can be moved manually by the learner or automatically by the lesson. As the learner adjusts the slider or dial, Storyline can change what appears on the screen or how the learner interacts with it, making these great for dynamic visual explanations. We introduced the concept of variables and how to use them in a previous tutorial. Now, you can trigger actions when a variable's value changes. Let's go back to our thermostat example. But this time, instead of chocolate, we'll use ice. You could have 3 images: a block of ice, a glass of water, and a cloud of steam. As the learner moves the slider or dial, its variable changes based on the thumb or pointer's position. When the variable's value drops below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, or rises above 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, the glass of water automatically changes to ice or steam, all powered by the variable changes event. You can also trigger an action when a video or audio file finishes playing using the Media Completes option. For instance, if you want a slide to automatically advance once a video finishes, you can tell Storyline to do exactly that using this event. The user presses a key option is a little more advanced. Here, you can program the course to perform an action based on what the learner types on the keyboard. You'll need the learner to first select the object and then enter the desired letters or keystrokes. For example, imagine you're simulating a computer application and the learner needs to type yes into a specific field. You could use a rectangle to represent that field, and the trigger would activate when the learner types the correct text. The last option is Object Loses Focus. When the learner is interacting with an object, that object is said to have focus. When the learner disengages, by moving the cursor away, selecting a different item on the slide, or taking another action, that object loses focus. You can use this event to trigger a follow-up action, such as validating what the learner typed or advancing the interaction once they've finished.